Today we're looking at one of the greatest pranks ever, the TV Be Gone. Now this video is going to be broken up into two different parts. The second part is going to be the build video. The first part is going to be the testing video. Down below is a link for the kit version, which is $19.99, and there's a second link for the already made version, which is about 50 bucks. I chose the cheaper version because I know how to solder. Some people don't. That's why you can choose to watch the second part or just the first part. So I chose 3 different places to test the TV Be Gone. First place is going to be Walmart. The second place is going to be Target. The third place is Best Buy. I figure those 3 places give me a wide variety of low-end TVs to high-end TVs to test out just how well this device works. First stop, Walmart. So I wasn't able to get as good of an angle at Walmart as I wanted to because I had an associate hovering around. For the first time in history, someone was there to help me at every step. On to the next store. Second stop, Target. Final stop, Best Buy. I would say at Walmart I had about 80% effectiveness. At Target I had about 70% effectiveness. And the layout of Best Buy was not like other Best Buys. This is a smaller one. So normally at other Best Buys, it's a giant TV section. So I may try another Best Buy. We'll see. The only thing I'm seeing that's hindering every TV being turned off is the way that they're displayed or blocked by a shelf or something similar. Now, ultimately, the prank is going to be going to a well-known sports bar and turning off most of the TVs during maybe a sports event. However, I'm going to let you, the viewer, choose what place I go into. Leave a comment down below of ideas of sports bars and different locations such as Buffalo Wild Wings you would like to see the prank performed in. Now, if you like videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and again, leave a comment of where you would like to see me use the TV Be Gone. On to the build. First thing we're doing is go over the parts list. You have a pre-printed circuit board already specifically for the TV Be Gone. You have a microcontroller pre-programmed with over 230 different TV codes. That's why it'll turn off anything in the vicinity. You have a ceramic oscillator, a couple capacitors, you have a few resistors, a couple narrow beamed infrared LEDs, 2 wide beamed infrared LEDs, a small 3mm LED, a switch, a PNP transistor, and 4 NPN transistors that attach to the LEDs, and also a battery holder. Now, if you want a more comprehensive list, you can go online, just search TV Be Gone kit, and it'll give you a breakdown list of everything. Let's flip the camera around and start the build. This will be number 2 in my build. The first thing we're going to put on is the button. The button is symmetric, so it can go either way. Line up the metal legs with the holes in the circuit board and snap it into place. Then use the soldering iron and solder each leg so it's a nice solder joint. Next on the build, I'm going to put the small 3mm LED into its correct place. Now, LEDs are not symmetric and they need to be placed correctly. You'll notice that one leg of the LED is slightly longer than the other. This is the positive leg. The positive leg goes into the hole that's marked plus next to it. Now, there are plenty of pictures online of this process, so if you want to pull one up for a better reference, you can. Insert the LED in the correct location, bend the lead slightly out, and then solder each joint. I use a flush cut pair of snips to make sure that everything lines up evenly. Next is going to be the 1 kilo ohm resistor, the R5. This is a brown, black, red stripe part. This resistor sets the brightness of the little indicator LED. Resistors are symmetric, so it can go either way. Bend the leg so it looks like a staple and insert into the R5 location as I'm showing you here. Bend the legs out just a bit and then solder each leg of the resistor. Next, use the pair of flush snips to make sure everything lines up just fine and cut off that excess. Next, I'm going to mount the ceramic capacitor C1. C1 is listed on the printed circuit board, so find C1. The ceramic capacitor is symmetric, so again, it can go either way. Insert into the C1 placement and solder each one into place. Again, use some flush snips to make sure the excess is trimmed off on the back once you're done soldering it. Next, I'm going to put the blue ceramic oscillator on the board. The oscillator has 3 pins and is symmetric. The oscillator is the time lock for the microcontroller, making sure that it is performing its functions at the correct speed. The socket for this is going to be on the circuit board next to the 1C1 pins for the pin controller, and it is labeled V1.2. Flip it around and solder it into place. Next is going to be another 1 kilo ohm resistor. Again, this is going to be just like the R5, the brown, black, red striped part. This resistor also is symmetric, so it can go either way. Now this is going to go in the R1 spot, and this is going to go directly across from the oscillator that you just put on there on the other side of the 1C1. You'll see it's marked R1. Flip the board around, solder into place, and use your flush snips to make sure everything is even. Next, I'm going to place the only PNP transistor in the Q5 spot. The PNP transistor is marked 2N2907. If you look at the Q5 spot, you'll notice that there is a picture of the shape of the transistor itself. Make sure that it lines up with the picture, which is sort of like a half moon shape. Flip the board around, solder into place, and make sure everything is flush with your flush snips. Next is going to be the 8-pin socket that's going to hold the microcontroller. The socket is for protecting the chip and making sure that it's easy to insert and remove. The socket has a little notch on one end. The notch should match up with the one on the picture on the actual circuit board. This will help you place the microcontroller properly later. Now, when you flip this over, you may have to solder one leg in first while you're holding it, because this will just fall out. There's no way to actually get it to hold into place. So you may have to solder one leg first, later go back and solder the rest once you flip it back over. Next is going to be the 220 nanofarad electrolytic capacitor. Now this is going to be polarized, so make sure that it goes in the right way. The long leg again is the positive leg. This is going to go in the C2 spot. Make sure that the positive leg goes into the spot marked plus. This capacitor is tall, so make sure before you solder into place, you bend it slightly forward on the circuit board to lay flat and then solder it into place. If not, you're going to have this one capacitor sticking straight up, and it's going to make it awkward if you want to place a battery pack on it later. This next step is by far the longest process, and that's going to be the 4 NPN transistors. They're marked 2N2222. Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 are the spots that they need to go. And just like the other one, the pictures in the Q spots are marked to make sure that they're placed correctly. Make sure that they line up with the pictures. These are the 3 pin, so make sure that the middle pin is at the top closest to the infrared LEDs. This is very important because I actually placed several on, wasn't paying attention, had one in backwards, and had to go through and unsolder everything, which is a pain in the backside after you've already trimmed and snipped everything up. After the long and arduous process of soldering all those, snip all the legs with the flush snips, and we're going to get into putting on the infrared LEDs. The LEDs are not symmetric. They do have a positive leg, so make sure the correct leg goes in the correct spot. The narrow beamed LEDs or the clear LEDs are going to be on the outside, with the wide beams on the inside. Make sure when you're putting these on, you have enough space to bend them at 90 degrees to point them forward. If you look at the board already done off there to the right hand side, you can see that they're short and compact and close to the board. That's the way most are going to do it. The one I'm building right now is going to be to hide secretly in a pocket, so the infrared LEDs are going to slightly stick out, so they're more goosenecked than what a standard person would want to build. So keep in mind that the one I'm building right now is going to be different. If you want to do one like that, I'll show you in a few minutes why it's like that. But if you want to build the standard TV Be Gone you see on the right hand side, just make sure they're short, bent at a 90-degree angle, and trim off any of the excess. Again, it's important to make sure the positive legs are in the positive holes. Last but not least, when everything is soldered into place, then I put the battery pack on. In the other instructions that you'll find online, you can put the battery pack on almost immediately to sort of test it out. However, you see I've already built one. I didn't need to do it that way. I just put this together as I saw the circuit board. I didn't build this in any particular order. Once everything is soldered into place, toss some batteries in it and press that button and test it out on your TV. Finally, I'm going to modify it to go into a chest pocket of this flannel shirt. So I figured that if I go into some place like Buffalo Wild Wings or another giant sports bar and want to turn off all the TVs, it would be a little suspicious if I had a device in my hand. However, I feel like I could pull it off a little bit better as a prank if it was hidden or concealed slightly more. Here I just used a piece of white cardstock I had laying around and some double-sided stick tape that came with the kit. Now the double-sided stick tape normally is used to attach the battery pack to the circuit board itself, but I'm using it to attach the battery pack to this cardstock. Now I need to just do a quick test fit, and then once I think it's exactly where it needs to be, I'll use some duct tape that I have lying around because I plan on modifying this over and over again for different circumstances and situations.